Namaskar. So in this video, I'm going to talk about anger. Where does it come from? Why is it hard to let go of? And, how can meditation help us in this process? Anger is kind of like a dragon. It's something that makes us feel more powerful. And it can come in really strong and impulsively. And yet it isn't quite a real emotion on its own. I think of anger as a shield. Anger is something that's usually protecting us from feeling another emotion that's going to make us feel weak or vulnerable. Things like sadness, like disappointment, frustration, feeling weak. All of these types of things are hard to feel. They make us feel vulnerable. But when we're angry, we feel powerful. We feel that we're right. Somehow that feeling gives us a feeling of strength. But holding on to anger, is quite toxic. It's like holding on to, if you've got like a burning coal and you're holding it in your hand because you just want to throw it at something. Well, your hand's getting burned, no? So metaphorically, it's like holding on to anger. It creates all kinds of toxicity. It really poisons our mind. It's obviously not conducive to having a peaceful meditation or, having good relationships, etc. There's many good reasons to let go of anger, but it's often not so easy. I'll give some examples of how some examples of how anger works. There was a time a couple summers ago, I had one of my teenagers visiting me, and we went to go pick up a pizza. And so we took our bicycles and we got to a place where we had to cross the street. And it was a very busy intersection. And somehow, she hesitated while I was crossing the street, and she didn't cross the street. She remained behind me. And I went across the street, and I looked at her and I motioned to her. I'm like, okay, wait till the green light and then cross. And in the meantime, because it was going to take time, the pizza place was just there. So I walked in, paid for it, came out, and to my shock, I can't see her anywhere. She just completely disappeared. And she is someone that really struggles with getting lost all the time. But I'm like, how could she get lost? She just had to cross the street. She just had to wait for the green light. And I can't find her anywhere. And so I start looking all around and, looking down the side streets, and I cross the street and I'm looking. She had a mobile phone. I'm calling her. She's not answering. So I'm getting really, really anxious about this. All kinds of fears start to arise in my mind. I start to thinking, what if somebody kidnapped her? What if something happened? Where could she be? How could I lose her? And just was I irresponsible? I only went in the store for just as long as it took to pay and was out. It was literally like 2 minutes. How could she disappear? She knew where I was going, And so I think, okay, well, maybe she went all the way back to the house. So I take my bike, I'm looking, I go all the way back to the house. She's not there. Now I'm getting really there's so much tension in me. And I return to the same place. I'm looking, I ask people if anybody saw her. No. Thinking oh my God, what am I going to tell child protection? It's not my child, she's one of the children that's in my children's home that I'm taking care of and responsible for. And then I see her on the other side of the street, right next to the pizza place. And she waves at me. And there's 4 lanes of traffic. And I'm and she sees me, and without even thinking, she just starts to run into the traffic to cross the street. And I'm telling her, no, stay there until it's green. And she doesn't hear me, and she runs all the way across the 2 lanes, all the traffic. Somehow she manages to get across safely. By the time she gets there, I am so furious. And I shout at her. I'm like, how could you cross the street like that? You almost got killed. This is such a dangerous intersection. I've seen several people get killed at this spot. And and I see her get completely frightened and frozen. And then we go back to the house completely in silence. I'm so upset. I don't even want to eat at that point, And I know, and I feel all this anger inside of me. But I know that what that anger was really covering was all that fear, all of that panic that I was even happening, and thinking about what might happen next, and where is she? And, I was really worried for her. And so when finally I'd, tried to practice my deep breathing, be aware of what happens physiologically. Of course, I feel all the tension right here in the knot in my stomach. So I try to breathe into it, try to let it go, try to feel the real emotions that were behind it, to recognize the fear that I was feeling. And then and then when we're sitting down together, I'm like, said her name, and I just said, look, I'm so sorry. I was really scared. I really care about you. And I was so worried something really terrible had happened to you when I couldn't find you anymore. And then I asked her what happened. She'd seen a cat. She loves cats. And so she saw a cat, and she went and she followed the cat, and then she forgot where she was. She has this problem with orienting herself in space. And so she got a bit lost. And and she also, when she saw me, she just was so relieved to see me. She didn't even think. So she just went across the street. Anyway, this is kind of how anger happens. It's often, a kind of protective reaction that we have, protecting, a lot of other very vulnerable feelings. So how does meditation help? Well, obviously meditation doesn't make you completely immune to getting anger, because I've been meditating for quite a number of years, and still that situation brought up quite a lot of anger. So, it's not that meditation makes you immune to circumstances that might provoke an angry response. What it does do is it makes you more aware of what's happening. Often we just have a knee-jerk response, and we are immediately, if the provocation is strong enough, like it was in that moment, I wasn't, I also, there are moments when anger is also an appropriate response. I mean, if somebody's doing something dangerous, like a child is doing something dangerous, like running into traffic, you have to scream to get their attention. Like, it's not a moment to just be like, oh, don't do that. There's moments in which anger also can be that kind of strong, kind of tiger, dragon type of energy can be protective. And also for her to see that anger was also kind of like, whoa, okay, I shouldn't have done that. It really was creating a strong impression also in her mind. But many times, we hold on to it. We don't let go of it. And I could have easily, I could feel that kind of like, I'm not even going to talk to her kind of feeling after it happened, just from all the emotion that was still churning inside of me. So, having the techniques, first of all, to be able to regain control of yourself, and here breathing is like number one first aid. When you have to do it for yourself, is like, if you have the practice of using breathing because you've been meditating, then it's there for you even in moments of stress. If you never do this, you do it once in a while, then it's not there, but when you've been practicing deep breathing regularly, then when a stressful moment comes, you can feel that your breathing has gotten blocked. And so then by using the deep breathing, you can unblock your breathing and you regain some emotional control. Then that allows you to get out of this like fight, flight, freeze state that you're stuck in, and helps you to be able to be more responsive, not just reactive. When we're meditating, we're strengthening our willpower and our ability to choose our reactions, not just to be victims to whatever's going on. Otherwise, it's kind of like, whichever way the wind blows, you're moving. Being able to meditate means you can choose which way you're directing your thoughts. Meditation's literally an exercise in this. Oh, okay, here I have to clarify, because some of you watching this and who haven't yet taken my basic course for this type of meditation that I teach, there's sometimes confusion that, meditating means not to think about anything. I think that's quite hard to do because our mind, it's designed to think. And so trying to not think is either suppressing it or you're thinking about not thinking, which is another type of thinking. So yogis have found that it's more useful to utilize the fact that your mind thinks, but to direct it in a way towards positive thoughts that are going to generate states of mind that are extremely pleasant, that give you a state of happiness, that give you a state of pleasure, that give you a state of peace. And so here it depends, what are you thinking about? No, as you think, so you become. So by practicing the ability to direct your thoughts towards elevating spiritual ideas, like mantra. The mantra I use is bhavanam kevalam, which means I'm only thinking about love as the essence of the universe. And this is a very subtle, very sweet, very elevating thought. So by a continuous practice of, every time you sit to think, there's not just bhavanam kevalam in the mind, even though if you know that's the practice that you're attempting to do, to fill your mind with that mantra, with that thought, with that purity, with that beauty, with something elevated and sweet, all kinds of thoughts are going to come in your mind. And so practicing detaching, learning, I am not my thoughts. I am more than my thoughts. What is that? What is that more? What is that? Who is that that's even watching the thoughts? And so by not identifying with your thoughts, by learning to direct your thoughts where you want them to go, towards something that is more true than just the temporary thoughts that we have. That's what the process of meditation is. So that's why it's useful in helping to be able to control your emotional states and to be able to be more choiceful about your response to different situations. Like I said, even with me, maybe not immediately, maybe first you get caught in anger, but being able to also detach from it, let go, redirect, by refocusing on, if there wasn't love there, I wouldn't have had a reaction. I would have been indifferent. No, but because there's love there, and to be able then to affirm the love and affirm the relationship so that, it doesn't hurt. Like, she was shocked for sure that I did that. But when I said to her, I love you so much and I wouldn't want anything to happen to you. And that's why I was so scared. So then it creates a kind of healing moment in the relationship again. So being able to let go is also a big part of spirituality. Being able to surrender, to free your mind, to not hold on to negative states. And anger is one of those ones that's so tempting because many times when anger comes up, we feel so self-righteous. I mean, that's actually kind of the feeling of anger. I'm right, and I have a right to be angry. You did something wrong. You made me angry. But all of those things poison. No, they poison the relationship. They poison our mind. They don't bring much welfare to anybody. So having the wisdom and maturity to be able to let go of anger and to be able to be vulnerable and to feel what's behind that shield. Why do I need to protect myself with that shield? What's really underneath? I'll give you another example. There was a moment when I'd spent maybe 2 months developing a beautiful project. We were going to design this wonderful project for taking care of adults with special needs that nobody else wants to take care of. And we had this partnership with Switzerland. We'd been working on it so hard. And then I got the response from the funder. And our project was rejected in the phase in which they were just checking if we had all the documents on the list that were needed in order to enter into the phase of evaluation. It means we were rejected before they even read the project and considered the idea and the good that it could have done. And it was eliminated, somebody had the job to check that all those papers were in order. And she hadn't read the instructions precisely enough. It was a very tiny error. And yet the whole project, all those months of work was gone. And my first reaction was just, I was so furious, how could you be so careless, But then immediately I just realized it was, and I was angry also at the funder for not even having the patience to read it. But underneath all of that, there was so much just sadness and disappointment that something that I'd already imagined as a reality in my mind. I'd already, we'd gone all the way into the details of exactly when the activities would happen, what they would happen, how much we needed to do this and this and this. So in your mind, it becomes very clear, and I was so excited about the opportunity to do this. And somewhere in there, I was like, no, just let it go. It'll all be for the best. I have to just surrender. I have to trust. And I had to face all of my sadness, all of my disappointment, this feeling of failure. And it was hard. It was much easier to be angry. So I'm saying anger is a much easier emotion. It's a much, it makes you feel powerful. There's somebody to blame. You're innocent. But this is also, the teachings about anger are also that anger comes out of desire. It comes from having I want things to be in a certain way. I know how they should be. And then the world is presenting you with something different. And so it can be hard to accept reality, that it's not going the way I think it should. And this produces the feeling of frustration. This produces the feeling of anger. But again, if we're able to, and this isn't easy, but if we're able to truly let go, truly trust the universe, let go of how we think it should be. It took a few months before it was clear actually why that didn't happen. And it was because, had we started that project, we were right at the turning point of what we would do with the future of our children's home. And basically, that project was a decision to go into a new direction, into working with adults that had special needs. And had it gotten approved, we would have had to put a lot of energy in that direction. In the meantime, Child Protection called us that there was a family of children, brothers and sisters that had been separated, and they needed a place to stay. And could we receive them? And we were able to say yes. And, I wasn't so secure like that we would be able to get enough funds and help to be able to honor a long-term commitment like that. But it was such a relief to all of my team. They really wanted to work with small children again. And when I came to the home and the house was full of the voices of small children laughing and it just brought a whole new reawakening of enthusiasm in the team. And it was just such a delight also for me to have young children again in the home, and somehow just trusting that everything would work out. But I realized what seemed like a failure had opened up a new phase for our project, that was necessary and that was able to offer safety and a home to this group of these brothers and sisters. And, and from there, the project continued to go in that direction. So, had we accepted that project, we would have already been locked into it, and we wouldn't have had enough energy and resources to do both. One of them would have suffered. So, that kind of wisdom of hearing, yes, everything works out for the best can seem like, yeah, I know. But it really does. And in those moments, developing that type of trust, that type of surrender, we say in the spiritual path, it is what helps to let go of our own need to be right, our own need to be in control all the time. And I think it helps to develop the spiritual quality of trust in the universe, trust in benevolence, trust in God, really experiencing the bhavanam kevalam, that love is the essence of all, and to live from that space. So I hope, that you can start meditating if you're not meditating already, so that you will have that tool with you. This isn't an instant kind of solution. It's one that requires some practice. But then when you have that practice of redirecting your thoughts in the positive way, you will be in the steering control. You can direct your thoughts. And part of directing the thoughts, ironically, is to let go of the steering wheel in a way. So it's partly being able to not allow your thoughts just to be taken off in any direction. And it's also kind of like letting go of some of our expectations, some of our feeling of how things should be, and to trust that there's some higher intelligence, higher force guiding us and with us all the time. Namaskar. Namaskar. I don't even really know how to express how grateful I am for all of those of you that are working behind the scenes with your donations, with volunteer work, with professionalism to really make the Meditation Steps project successful and reach this vision that we have of bringing the tools of meditation, the philosophy that underpins it, the lifestyle practices, to as many people as possible for free all over the world. So it's just a big honor to be part of it, and it wouldn't be possible without the support. So you can find more about how to join and how to be part of this vision. And if you're feeling the benefit of these practices, of the philosophy, let's work together to get it to as many people as possible. Find out how you can do that below in the description, and there will be some links there. And I hope that together we can really transform this world with a flood of compassion, love, and inner peace that comes from meditation. Thank you.